So the bake-off is finally here, and the technical challenge for the first week was Malt Loaf. Now I've never made it before, but for this new series I'm going to try every single technical challenge of the bake-off, if time permits, so I'm going to give them all a try. So first I've steeped 2 tea bags in 150 grams of boiling water, and then I've got 100 grams of raisins and 100 grams of prunes, and I'm going to chop them into roughly the same size pieces. As I said in the show, doing this is going to help them distribute more evenly through our malt loaf when we bake it later on. Now it wouldn't be a malt loaf without Malt Extract. I had to hunt this down in Holland and Barrett. That seemed to be the only place that would sell it. But for this recipe we're going to use 180 grams. So I'm just going to pour this straight into my Dutch oven. 180 grams of that. We're then going to go with Black Treacle, which is this super molassesy, really dark, caramelized sugar kind of thing. I'm going to do 40 grams of that. We don't want too much, otherwise it would be too overpowering. So 40 grams is just about right. And we're going to finish off with 70 grams of Muscovado Sugar. When all that's in, I'm going to place the pan onto the heat, add in my fruit and then that steeped tea, leave the tea to steep for about 10 minutes, bring it all to the boil and then just turn the heat off and let it cool completely. Oh, while it's cooling, add in half a teaspoon of salt and give it a good mix together. For our dry ingredients, I've got 180 grams of plain flour, I'm going to add 60 grams of whole wheat flour and then 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I've just moved back to university and don't have a sieve, so I'm just going to give it a good whisk together, and that should break up any clumps of baking powder that are in there. So while I was waiting for the sugar mixture to cool back down, I started on the ginger and orange slices, the crystallized slivers that are going to go on top of the malt loaf. So I've got a big piece of ginger from the market here and I'm going to scrape off the skin with a spoon, chop it in half and kind of get it into a square-ish piece, kind of rectangular piece here, sorry. I'm going to slice it into thin slivers and then again into even kind of thinner matchstick pieces. I'm going to basically do the same with the orange, so I just top and tailed it, cut a slice through the middle and then peeled the skin off. And then we do want to leave some of the pith on, but not too much. So I'm just going to skim over the top with my knife, just to take off a bit of the excess pith. And then when I've done that, I'm just going to slice it into thin matchsticks, just as before. At this point my sugar mixture had cooled nicely, so I poured it into my dry ingredients and gave it a little quick mix together, just to help it cool down even further. I next went in with 3 medium-sized eggs, or you can use 2 large eggs, broke up the yolks and then gave everything a really good mix together. You don't want to mix it too much, otherwise you're going to have a chewy loaf, but you do want to make sure you break up all the flour pockets. So the way I did this was by scraping the bottom of the bowl, because that's normally where they collect. So yeah, make sure you go around the sides, but also scrape right underneath, straight through the bottom, to make sure it's all incorporated. And in the end you're looking for a batter that looks something like this. So then pour that into my loaf tin. I'm not sure what the size is, but I'll put it on screen. I'll measure it for you later. Parchment lined, because this thing is really sticky and we don't want it sticking at all. So parchment lined baking tin, and we're going to bake this at 160 degrees fan for 50 minutes, turning halfway through. To crystallize our orange and ginger, I'm doing a 1-to-1 mix, 50 grams of sugar and 50 grams of water in this pan here. I'm just going to bring that to a simmer so it all dissolves. And then added in my ginger matchsticks and my orange pieces, and then just stirred it together, topping up with water as necessary because sometimes the water evaporates, until it becomes translucent. When it got to that point, I put it onto this wire rack to cool down, and then just sat and chilled for a little bit while everything was baking and drying off. So 50 minutes had gone by, and this is what the bread was looking like at the end. Really nice colour on the outside, perfect sides as well. The parchment paper method works perfectly, so yeah, just do that. Don't try anything else. This works great. And the key step here is, while it's cooling, you want to brush over some malt extract. This is going to kind of seep into the bread, make it nice and sticky. So I just drizzled it over the top first with a spoon, and then I went over and brushed it with the back of the spoon to make sure I got everything nice and evenly coated. So after the fruit had dried a little bit, I took a bowl of sugar, just granulated sugar, popped it in and gave it a little bit of a mix around to coat it. I then put them back onto this wire rack, as you can see here, and popped it in the oven on the lowest setting, about 60 degrees, for 20 minutes or so, and they became nice and hard. You can see here they're going to hold their shape when we put them on top of the loaf, which is what we want for that nice presentation. So yeah, the last thing to do is just pop these slices on top, and then the loaf's done. Now I don't think these orange and ginger slices were that important, but they really do add a really nice flavour to the loaf. They're quite important, so if you do have the time to make them, I highly recommend it, because it does make the loaf taste way better. That's the full loaf, and then a slice individually, I'll show you that. Let me know what you think of this recipe and who you want to win in the comments. I'm going for Jürgen and Giuseppe, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching.